all-day baseball here in St. Louis, and yes, it's time to put a little sunscreen on as the Phils wrap up this four-game series against the Cards. They could leave this city with a split of this four-game series despite losing the last two games. Hi, everybody. I'm Tom McCarthy, joined by Ben Davis. We get set for today's finale of this four-game series. David Buchanan, who we'll talk about in just a little bit, and another major league debut for starting pitcher Severino Gonzalez made his major league debut the other day for the Phils. And today, it's a guy from your high school alma mater, Tim Cooney, who gets the baseball for the Cards.
Yeah, Malvern Prep grad, and it's very, very nice to see him make this step. I was able to talk to him yesterday. He's very excited. He did seem a little bit nervous, but, you know, it's one of those things where he can go out and just remember this day for the rest of his life, going against a team he grew up idolizing.
14 wins last year for the Cardinals in AAA, which led the Pacific Coast League. What we know about him is what we've read and also what we've watched on the internet. He's a lefty who relies on command and relies on his changeup.
Yeah, from what we understand, he's not going to overpower anybody, but he can go out there and pitch. He's a strike thrower. The other thing is, you got to watch out for his stick, Tom. The kid can absolutely swing it. He's a younger kid. I was looking at his stats, say, born in 1990. Can you imagine that? 1990. So it's a big day for him, but hopefully the Phillies can go out there and attack.
One of the things that the Cardinals have going for them with his start here today, and it's for Adam Wainwright, who went down with the injury the other day, is their offense. We've watched it the last couple of nights, in particular with runners in scoring position. They have one of the best offenses in baseball.
They're very, very good, and they're very professional in their approach, and the fact that they'll take what the pitcher will give you. They'll take what the defense will give you. They don't try and do too much. They're not going to hit a ton of home runs, but they are very professional. Stay up the middle, they stay within themselves, they get a good pitch, and they whack it.
They have a foundation of two veterans that are in the heart of this lineup, Matt Carpenter and also Matt Holliday, and they really do provide an extra boost.
Well, both of them have reached base every game this season, and you talk about some thunder and lightning. These guys can provide it. It is really the heart of this lineup. They are very well balanced, but these two guys really get it done.
361 batting average for Matt Carpenter, just a hair under Matt Holliday, who is fourth in the National League in hitting at 371. So it is the finale of this four-game series between the Phillies and the St. Louis Cardinals. Can David Buchanan neutralize the Cardinals offense today? Well, we'll see. He's making his fifth start of the season. Again, of course, Tim Cooney, who's making his major league debut after making 3 starts down in AAA. And how about David Buchanan? He has not won a ball game since August of last year. We'll talk about David as he prepares for today's start against the St. Louis Cardinals. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. By Citizens Bank, one deposit checking. Keeping things simple is helping you bank better. By Toyota, where will Toyota take you? Visit buyatoyota.com to find out. Toyota, let's go places. And by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. Learn more at ibx.com. Continue this afternoon. Well, earlier we talked about Tim Cooney making his Major League debut for the St. Louis Cardinals. Now let's turn our attention to Phillies starting pitcher David Buchanan, who, Ben, is looking for his first victory since August of last year. He probably has a boost of confidence, though, because he pitched well against the Cardinals last season. Pitched
very well. In the 2 outings, he only gave up 3 runs. But I think one thing he can build off is his last outing against the Braves. Threw extremely well, command of all 4 pitches. But the big thing for me was his breaking ball. Was able to get that over. It was sharp. It was nasty. But last season, he had very good command against these Cardinals. They went out there and they tried to attack, tried to do a little bit too much. But this is a lineup that we know it's very, very good, Tom. But he still has to go out there and pitch. And hopefully the Phillies can get out of here with a split.
He felt so good after this game. This was arguably his best start of the season. 7 2/3, just a hair over 100 pitches as the Phils were able to walk away with the win.
Yeah, just a hair over 100 pitches, but he realizes that he also cannot strike everybody out. He does have to pitch in contact. He's not a strikeout pitcher, but he can trust his defense in the fact that he's going to go throw strikes and hopefully just keep the ball down and use that defense.
All right, we've talked often about David Buchanan on how he uses his filter in the bullpen during his sessions to kind of figure things out. As you said, maybe he can build off last starts and build on a victory here today for the Phils and even this series. When we return, we'll go to the Comcast Sportsnet studios before our first pitch. Tim Cooney from Collegeville, Pennsylvania. He has entered the dugout, and he and the Cardinals are about ready to take the field. There he is. I'm sure jitters everywhere. Murph, I know his family is here, but there's a lot of people back in the Delaware Valley that are excited to see him pitch here today.
Yes, you can certainly bet that a lot of folks in and around Philadelphia have a special interest in this game. Folks that know Tim Cooney and watched him growing up. I heard Jim Salisbury liken it to a time when Jamie Moyer made his major league debut against the Philadelphia Phillies many years ago. Tim Cooney getting an opportunity to do just that, the team that he grew up watching and rooting for. I spoke with his long-term coach and mentor, Tim Kearns, who owns the Triple Crown Academy in Limerick, and Cooney's been going there since he was 7 years old, and Kearns told me that at around 11 or 12, they realized they had something special, a guy that could throw strikes and command a fastball and even work on a changeup at 11 and 12 years old. They knew they had something. He worked very, very hard to get to the point where he is, and folks are excited to get to see him make his major league debut today, guys.
Yeah, out of Lower Perkiomen Little League, and of course Malvern Prep. Take a look at his numbers down in AAA. 3 starts, 2-1, a 3.63 ERA, 14 strikeouts in 17 and a third innings. Last year he won 14 games for Memphis, which was the top number in the Pacific Coast League. And Ben, we take a look at the scouting report. It's kind of stuff that you talked about during our open today, what he brings to the table.
Yeah, 88 to 92. He is a strike thrower, slider, curve, change, and as you said, former Friar making his major league debut today.
Well, as Murph mentioned, Jamie Moyer, who made his major league debut against the Phillies. Our buddy Ted Solari also told us that George Riley and Tom Filer, both pitchers, made their major league debuts against the Philadelphia Phillies. So those are the company that Tim Cooney is sharing with. We look back at some images of Tim at Malvern Prep. That team that he played on in 2009. That was a heck of a team. Chris Gossick was on that team. He was also teammates earlier with guys like Phil Goslin, who's playing for the Atlanta Braves. That was signing day when he decided to go to Wake Forest. He had a chance to go to a couple of different Ivy League schools and decided to go to Wake Forest. Well, here we go. He's all warmed up and ready to go. Odubel Herrera is walking to the plate. Odubel 6 for 13 so far in this series. Now, the Phillies had Severino Gonzalez make his major league debut at Game 2 of this series. He struggled in 2 2/3. And quite honestly, the Phils hope that they can put the same kind of numbers up against Tim Cooney here this afternoon. Odubel hitting .304, no home runs, 7 RBIs. And the first pitch, Tim Cooney's major league career, is taken down low. So we are underway. 1 ball and no strikes.
Tom, you and I were talking before the game. I know his folks are here. How nervous are his parents right now? You're thinking about it. You never want to see your child fail, and this is the biggest stage there is.
Sure, they have a knot in their stomach anytime you have anytime you have a son who's pitching, doesn't matter what level, and you're a parent, there's a knot in your stomach, and you're probably sitting in the stands right now, but most times Odubel has reached base safely in 14 consecutive games. A chopper out towards shortstop, and Peter Kozma is there. 1 away. Take a look at the rest of the Phillies lineup, brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phils. After Herrera, it's Freddie Galvis, then Darren Ruff and Ryan Howard back in the cleanup spot. Jeff Francoeurs in right field. Cesar Hernandez, the second baseman, bats 6th. At the bottom third of Cody Ashe, Cameron Rupp, and David Buchanan. Freddie Galvis now the hitter. Galvis 4 for 11 in this series. He's also scored 3 runs. As we finish up the month of April, Freddie with 26 base hits. Batting right-handed, his natural position. And he lines that one into left field, a base hit. He just keeps on hitting.
About time he got one.
27 hits now for Galvis in the month of April.
And this swing is completely different from what the Freddie Galvis swing we've seen over the last couple years. Completely different. And I think it's quicker. I do. It's definitely not as hard, but he's getting to pitches and it's quick.
Well, he's talked about it. He talked about it with Murph yesterday, just that he's just trying not to be as long to the ball. Because a lot of times when he's that way, he flies out to short left or short right field. Here's Darren Ruff, who's making the start today in left field, batting third. His 9th start of the season. It's his 3rd at bat of the series. He's come off the bench a couple times. One ball, no strikes to Darren Ruff. And a toss over to first. The Lucky McDonald's Phillies home run jackpot contestant is Henry Musselman. Phillies hit a home run in today's ball game. Henry will win $100. Swing and a miss. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Darren has really not really seen a whole lot of playing time lately. Were you surprised to see him in a 3-hole today?
I was. I know that Ryan Sandberg's been looking for balance throughout the lineup. So he has righty, lefty, righty, 3, 4, and 5. And a line drive base hit through the middle. Galvis will stop at second. Phils with back-to-back singles here in the first. All right, Ben, it's time now for our Nissan keys to today's ball game.
Well, they're plain and simple for me. Get out of here with a split. They won the first one, lost the next 2. They have a chance to salvage the series and rough up the rookie.
I see what you're doing there.
You see what I'm doing there. And hey, it worked right there. Nice swing. Line drive back up the box. Hopefully we can keep it going here.
Well, Ryan Howard will now be the hitter. Howard hitting 191 with 4 home runs and 10 runs batted in. He has a home run of this series, playing in his 1,298th game at first base, which ties the all-time record for a Philly. Takes high, 1-0. Here's the home run last night for Ryan Howard.
Yeah.
Phillies hope that they can he could take that into today's game and have the same kind of production.
He is really on the plate today.
Outside, 2-0.
What a luxury, though, for Tim Cooney having a veteran like Yadier Molina behind the plate. I was very surprised to see Yadi's name in the lineup today, but see big piece right there and close to the dish. But having that luxury, I mean, he knows these hitters.
On the outside corner, 2-1, 80 mile an hour. Is that a changeup?
It was a cutter. And that's one thing that Yadi does. He will instill in you the fact that you can throw any pitch at any time. He gets you to believe in yourself as a pitcher.
Way outside, 3 balls and 1 strike. Great story going around about Cooney back in 2008. Like a lot of youngsters in Philadelphia, he decided to play hooky from school the day the Phillies had the parade going down Broad Street.
I won't tell Mr. Stewart.
Is there a statute of limitations for that? 3 balls and 1 strike to Howard. And Howard hits it towards center field. Going back on it is John Jay, carrying out toward the track to the wall. He jumps and he makes the catch. Galvis will go to third. He'll hold there. First and third, 2 men down. Ryan Howard hit it a ton, but the ballpark held it.
He has the best routes to balls. You know, he's not the fastest guy. Great swing there by Ryan. But he has such a good route. He knows where the ball's going to end up. You saw him get chased the other night, the first night in town. Great job at base running there by Freddie. A lot of you thinking, well, you should go halfway. Not in that situation, because if it does go off the wall or he drops it, you're going to score regardless. So if he can get to third base by tagging up, it's not a problem.
Yeah, and Freddie, as he was going to third, I think he crept in his mind, I'm going to take a turn around third base because it was deep in left center field. Now Jeff Francoeur 0 for his last 13. 0 for 10 in this series. Take strike one.
See Cooney using a lot of off-speed pitches. It's like he's struggling with his fastball command a little bit.
Ground ball foul. Another curveball there, and then it's 0-2. So 80 must be his cutter, but his changeup is probably in that same neighborhood too.
I would think so.
According to scouting reports, his fastball goes between 87 and 92. Just a bit inside. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Nice breaking ball there. A little up and in though to Frenchie. I think he's got to stay soft here, don't you think?
I would think so. Well, he comes back with a fastball, and it's inside. 2-2. Freddie Galvis getting a wide lead off third. Carpenter's way back behind the bag. And of course, the lefty Cooney has his back to Freddie.
Just anticipate anything in the dirt.
Swing and a miss. He got it with a curveball. First strikeout for Cooney. Phillies get a couple base runners, but do not score. So the first inning of Tim Cooney's major league debut is in the books. It includes his first major league strikeout as he gets Jeff Francoeur and a curveball to wrap up the top of the first. Now we go to the bottom of the first, and let's take a glance at the Cardinals starting lineup brought to you by Xfinity. The seventh spot, he'll be at second base. Pete Cosma's at shortstop batting 8th, and Cooney will bat 9th. And they will face Phillies right-hander David Buchanan. Buchanan 0-4 on the year, 7.52 ERA. He was much better in his last outing against the Atlanta Braves.
He was, and it all started with that breaking ball. I really hope he has that curveball today. You take a look at his scouting report, 90 to 92. The cutter is a big pitch for him. Hope he doesn't get too cutter happy. The curveball, the change, and his career 1-0 with a 2.13 ERA against the Cardinals.
Fond memories of his only start here at Busch Stadium. He went 7 2/3. First pitch is a changeup outside, and it's 1 ball and no strikes to John Jay. Jay 2 for 7 in the series. Did not play yesterday, and he hits one sharply past the diving Cesar Hernandez, and he has the first hit of the day for the Cardinals. I think they're going to be aggressive against David Buchanan, not because Jay just did that. I just think that's the approach they've taken most of the series.
Well, they've been hot. I mean, that's no doubt about it. They have been hot, and when you're feeling good, you just want to continue that. So if you see one that you like, go up there and hack.
The Cardinals in this series are 14 for 31 with runners in scoring position. That's a .451 clip. Now, I say that because they were void of any real threats in Game 1 against Cole Hamels. As Carpenter takes strike one. They came into that game against Cole Hamels 3 for their last 27 with runners in scoring position, and they only had 1 hit that night. But since that time, they have 13 hits with runners in scoring position.
Jeez.
A 1 pitch to Carpenter. Takes low. Carpenter 4 for 12 against the Phillies so far.
And they've had a lot of sac flies. So they're getting the job done.
That's a good point. They have. Out toward right center field. Herrera's on the run, and he won't get that one. It's another extra base hit for Carpenter. Jay's around third, heading for home. He's going to score. RBI double. 1-0 St. Louis here in the bottom of the first. $13 doubles now for Matt Carpenter already on the year.
Different sound off his bat. It really is. Pitch is elevated. And Carpenter, again, you know, it wasn't so far up in the zone, but if he tries to pull that ball, it's going to be a ground ball. But he stays in the middle of the diamond. That's what this Cardinal lineup does so well.
Matt Holliday flares one down the right field line. That's going to drop for a base hit. Carpenter will score, and Holliday will get a double. Back-to-back doubles, 3 straight hits, 2-0 Cardinals. Well, they may have been quiet with runners in scoring position when the Phillies arrived in St. Louis, but they're quiet no more. He just reached down and poked that one down the right field line. Went with the pitch, basically.
You don't want to give your opponent too much credit, but this lineup is just, it doesn't end.
Change up to Matt Adams, and it's 0-1.
You're right, Tom. They're up there hacking.
Adams was hitless in Game 1 of the series, but has 5 hits in the last 2 games. And of those 5 hits, 2 are doubles. His numbers with 2 strikes. And he pulls that one to right field. Frank Gore is going to play it on 1 hop. Holliday will go to third. 4 straight hits now for the Cardinals. Somehow, some way, David Buchanan is going to have to get them off balance. Bob McClure is coming out to chat with them right now because they are right on balance in this first inning.
Yeah, it's an 0-2 pitch there. I know he wants to get it in, but it just has to be better than that.
Bob's made a lot of visits early in games these last couple of days. Laz Diaz coming over to break up the conversation.
A long meeting.
It was a long meeting. All right, so the Phillies here have to set up to turn 2. They have to try to slow this inning down, even though another runner is in scoring position. 70 degrees today. The temperature is rising. It is just after 1 Central Time. Just after 2 o'clock back home. Jason Hayward, the batter, with runners on first and third. Hayward 3 for 7 in the series, and he hits one toward shortstop. This should be 2. There's 1, and Hernandez's throw to first in time. A run does score. It's 3-0 St. Louis, but the Phillies were in desperate need of some outs. And they got him.
Another first pitch hack by Hayward. It's a good meeting. I know they got the third run out of it, but able to induce a double play.
Yadier Molina hitting .258, no homers, 10 RBIs. Takes a curveball for a strike, 0-1. He has a couple RBIs in this series. He's been robbed of a few hits, has only 1.
Another 0-2 count. See if he can make it more of a quality pitch on this 0-2.
Did you like that one?
I did. Something to think about. See him double up with that right here.
Comes back with a changeup that is hit foul. Molina out front of it. Out toward left field. Darren Ruff makes the catch. The inning is over, but the Cardinals score 3 runs in the inning on 4 hits. We'll go to the second. Cardinals on top, 3-0. Night is Monday, May 11th, when the Phillies take on the Pittsburgh Pirates. All fans coming to the ballpark receive that cap right there. Tickets can be purchased anytime by going to Phillies.com. In fact, you can check out the entire promotional schedule for the 2015 season by going to Phillies.com. We have pictures of each and every item that will be handed out. Top half of the second inning, Cesar Hernandez, making his 6th start of the year, will lead it off. Hitting .214, no homers, 3 RBIs. The first pitch to Cesar. Shows bunt, takes high, 1-0. 1 ball and no strikes. Cesar 0 for 1 so far in the series. He's been used as a pinch hitter and a pinch runner. Low ball 4. Hernandez draws a walk. So the first walk of the game issued by Cooney. Cooney, when he graduated from Malvern Prep, went on to Wake Forest, as we mentioned. He had some offers from Ivy League schools. When he was at Wake Forest, the number that he wore was number 35. And he wore that in honor of that guy right there, Cole Hamels. Growing up a Phillies fan and throwing a lot of change-ups, being left-handed, using the off-speed pitch to his advantage. Why not emulate a guy that has the best changeup for any left-hander in the game right now?
That's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
I don't think he had a say in what number he was wearing here today. He's wearing number 66. Meeting out on the mound, Yadier Molina, after walking Cesar Hernandez, goes out to chat with him. Here he is at Malvern Prep. And he's wearing his number 35 right there. Friars had a good team, though, when he was there. I mean, they have a good team a lot of years, but they had some pretty good players during his 4 years there.
It's been a factory, and I'm not bragging on it, but it's been a factory there. Freddie Hilliard does a great job with the program. They are just, I'm telling you, they run some good squads out there.
Here's Cody Ashley, who floats one into right field, a base hit. So the Phils have 2 on with nobody out here in the second. And that's their 3rd hit. How could you not have a factory when Ben Davis and Glenn Davis are part of the past success of Malvern Prep? I don't see the horse farm out there anymore.
That was in right field.
Oh, okay. Hair was even looking good then.
It's amazing.
Ted Solari was also telling me that you used to cut your teammates' hair.
I did.
For some extra cash.
Everyone on the basketball team had the same haircut, high and tight. I was pretty good at fading it up.
The haircut you had, or
everyone
had the Ben Davis haircut.
Didn't know how to do anything else. $2 a cut.
Did you make some extra coin for that?
$2 a cut. That's it. Yeah.
Did you have to file taxes for that, or was that under the table?
It was on the download, Tom.
1 ball, no strikes to Cameron Rupp. Rupp making his 7th start. Outside, 2-0. You
can see that's his pitch. I mean, he's been throwing a lot of it. I'm sure he told Yachty, hey, when I get in trouble, I can go that changeup. He's just not able to command it right now.
See if the Phillies can take advantage of it. Up high, 3-0.
I give Caesar a lot of credit leading off that inning. The 3-1 count was a fastball down and in. It was borderline strike, and he just spit on it. You know, he wanted to get on base, see if he can get a rally going. Very good at bat by him.
So he worked out the walk that Ashe singled. 3-0 pitch to Rupp. Snuck an 87-mile-an-hour fastball by him, and it's 3-2.
Good rip there. 3-1 count, 2nd inning. Up by 3 runs. You know what you're going to get.
Goes upstairs again. Picks up his 2nd strikeout. Well, that's a big out because now you have the pitcher up with 1 man down.
Hey, you see Rupper just go up there and he's trying to do too much.
Yeah, he swung at ball 4 twice.
It's a shame, too, because he's up 3-0 in the count.
David Buchanan has a hit. It was a double. He squares. And he takes high, 1-0.
It was a hit off the least likely pitcher,
Matt Harvey. I wonder if he ever got that steak dinner from Larry Bow.
I'm sure he made him pay up.
That one's butted toward third, and it will roll foul. 1 ball and 1 strike. Phillies try to put a couple of men in scoring position here for the top of the order. Odubel Herrera. They lead the National League. Well, they lead baseball in sacrifice bunts. Now, they have had their issues with some sacrifice bunts. Last night, case in point, Ryan Sandberg asked Ben Revere to try to sacrifice, and Revere bunted it too close to Yadier Molina, who forced the runner at third. Bunts it toward third and bunts it foul. 1-2. See, that's a case in point right there where David Buchanan was trying to bunt the runners up, but it also looked like he was kind of bunting for a base hit. I mean, he was bunting it to the right area. Ryan Sandberg said that today. He said, when I ask the guys to sacrifice bunt, I want them to sacrifice themselves. I'm not looking for them to get a base hit out of it. So I just want them to get the ball down.
And not try and be too fine with it.
Right. He thought Revere last night might have been too fine with that bunt attempt. Odubel Herrera on deck. Derek Lilliquist has watched his lefty fall behind 3-2 to David Buchanan. On the inside corner, and Buchanan's down looking. 3 strikeouts for Cooney. After months of anticipation, the NFL draft is almost here. What will Chip do? Who will he take? Get complete Eagles first-round draft coverage starting tonight at 5 after the Phillies Cardinals series finale only on Comcast Sportsnet. Whereas the Cardinals have been red hot with runners in scoring position, the Phillies are now 6 for 31 in this series with runners in scoring position. Odubel grounded out his first time up. Back toward the middle, between the legs of the pitcher, and the center field, a base hit. Hernandez around third, heading for home, and he'll score. And the Phillies are on the board. It's a 3-1 ball game. An RBI single for Herrera, who has now reached base safely in 15 consecutive games.
He's something. And he's getting it done against righties and lefties.
Cody Ashley almost went around second base bag a little too far.
Just had deja vu from last night with Ben Revere getting caught off at third.
All right, now Galvis, he singled his last time up. Only one first pitch strike so far for Cooney out of the 11 pitches that he's thrown.
What, Freddie really has that front foot open. I mean, it is way out there. Right here, it's on the. It's amazing. It's on the chalk.
Yeah,
that batter's box.
I thought at home he was almost out of the box at times. So that's not where it's going to finish up.
No.
Yeah, see, he's a little.
And it keeps creeping.
It keeps creeping.
Hey, he hit a bullet to left his first AB, so shouldn't say too much.
Well, as we've talked about this year, that's just a trigger right there. I mean, he eventually does close up and get to where he wants to be to make some contact.
You know, he eventually does get to even, but a lot of folks would say, why even do that? Just start even. Well, it feels comfortable.
Chopper softly to shortstop. Cosma is up with it. He'll throw across the diamond. Phillies are retired here in the second, but they do get a run. They get a couple base hits. They lead 2. Middle of the second, it's the Cardinals 3 and the Phillies 1. Up their series against the New York Mets. Tickets can be purchased anytime by going to Phillies.com. Well, Ben Davis and Greg Murphy, game 4 of this series between the Phillies and the St. Louis Cardinals. Cardinals came into this ball game with the second highest batting average in baseball, and they greeted David Buchanan with 4 hits in the first inning. Colton Wong will take strike 1. It's 0-1. 5 for 13 in the series with a couple runs scored. Boy, he buried that cutter.
It's nasty.
That one was coming in hot. Fortunately, it hit one of the handful of empty seats here at Busch Stadium. This is probably the biggest crowd of the week, right?
It's pretty big.
Change up, rolled over on toward first, and a foul ball.
Very big crowd.
They have a big series coming up this weekend against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Pirates, of course, have been to the postseason the last couple of years. Pirates already in town.
Speaking with Clint Hurdle today, Pirates manager.
Heard he was holding court in the hotel.
He's a great guy. He really is. Players love playing for him too.
Freddie Galvis at shortstop, waits on it, and there's one out. for David Buchanan, it's an inning of adjustments, because the Cardinals were very aggressive in the first against him, and they picked up 4 hits and 3 runs. Somehow he has to use their aggressiveness to his advantage.
And that doesn't mean you can't throw strikes. Just throw effective strikes. Sometimes get them off the plate. Mix it up. First pitches. Use all your pitches first pitch.
Line drive, base hit into left field, softly for Cosmo. And now Cooney's coming up for his first major league at bat. Cooney family is somewhere in that sea of red. He squares. He had 11 hits in the minor leagues. We saw one of his extra base hits. He had 3 doubles. 5 sacrifice hits, not this year, but during his career. No sacrifices this year. They let pitchers hit at Malvern Prep?
Of course. Actually, I don't know. Everything's so specialized these days, you know.
Well, he didn't hit when he was in college at Wake Forest. There are his minor league numbers.
Pretty darn good.
One ball and 1 strike. .256 career hitter in the minors. And now a word with Jose Oquendo.
Tell you what, 14 wins in the PCL, that's good. There's some parks where the ball just flies. AAA there.
He jabbed at it, pulled it back at the last moment, and it's 2 balls and 1 strike. And he bunts it toward third. Ashley's got it with Deaden right at the grass. So the sacrifice is successful. Cosman's going to third, and Cameron Rupp was there to cover. Excellent defense by Rupp to go behind Cody Ashley and go to third. Cosma, I don't know if he saw him or not. And a good clean throw over across the diamond to record the final outs. No runs, 1 hit, and nobody left. It turns out to be a double play on the sacrifice attempts. Look at Ashley fielding it cleanly. Rupp already heading to third. Cesar Hernandez's throw is on the money. And Cameron Rupp, he can do that. Catcher can do anything.
Absolutely.
We'll go to the third.
You really have to make sure the third base is going to get it, and you're going to see Cameron make a beeline right there and get to third base. There's no hesitation on his part. I'm sure he felt a little awkward tagging the guy out at third, but that is very good on Cameron Rupp's part.
I was thinking the same thing. There had to be a feel of awkwardness with all that gear on and being on a different spot in the diamond. Well, that's a big play to get the Phils to the third, down 3-1. Darren Ruff leads it off, takes on the inside corner. Boy, that's a tough strike. No balls and 1 strike to Ruff, who singled his first time up. Curveball, 0-2. Today is Darren's 47th career start in left field, a first baseman by trade. He's trying to make himself versatile enough to get some at-bats. That one's hit out toward left center field. It's hit pretty well. John Jay going back toward the track to the wall. It is gone. A home run for Darren Ruff. A solo shot, his second of the year. It's a 3-2 ball game.
Kick mule. Oh, wait, Darren.
You're just happy because your keys to the game are coming to fruition.
Looking like Einstein right now.
Well, that was a hefty poke by Ruff. Makes a winner out of Henry Musselman in our McDonald's home run jackpot. He just won $100 thanks to Darren Ruff.
What a short swing.
Yeah, the part of that is there were 2 strikes on the board, too.
2 strikes. It wasn't that bad a pitch, but you talk about staying through a baseball to the point of contact and out through the pitcher.
Ryan Howard takes outside, 1 ball and no strikes. And Howard pulls it out toward the alley in right center field. Jay on the run. He won't get it. It's going to trickle toward the track, and it's kicked by Hayward. And Howard will pull into second with his 4th double of the season. Well, Murph, success for Ryan Howard against the St. Louis Cardinals is well documented, and it continued last night with that solo home run.
Yeah, you know, he came into today's game with a lifetime batting average against his hometown team, Tom, of .353. And the power numbers have been there since he started 20 home runs against the St. Louis Cardinals. If you break that down against all the opponents that Ryan Howard has faced over his years, he is averaging a home run in every 3 games where he faces the Cardinals. 20 home runs in those 60 games coming into today. And you see right there, the Braves are next with 3.2, so 3 and 2/3 of the game. But the way he hits against the St. Louis Cardinals has been amazing. In fact, 10 at bats. Every 10.9 at bats, he hits a home run against the St. Louis Cardinals. That's the best against the Cardinals and anyone in Major League Baseball history. He's number 1 in that category as well. So Ryan Howard enjoys playing against his hometown team for sure.
It's kind of interesting that the Red Sox were number 3 on that list. 8 home runs against the Red Sox.
Yeah, and limited action. So
here's Jeff Francoeur with Howard at second. And Francoeur chops it toward third, so Howard will remain at second base. Bullpen action. Carlos Villanueva warming up for the Cardinals.
Not a very good at bat by Frenchie there.
Cesar Hernandez has walked and scored a run.
I'm not saying you have to give yourself up and completely inside out one towards the right side, but look for something in the middle you can hit towards the middle, drive towards the middle.
Cesar Hernandez does that. He pokes it to right. Howard will be held at third. And Cesar has been on base twice now. First and third with 1 man down. Well, it's time now for our Jeep Stuff the Fans trivia question. Log on to Phillies.com. Go to the fans section for all the information, and please submit your answer on the subject line. All right, Ben, here's the question. Which Cardinals pitcher did Mike Schmidt hit 11 career home runs off? The answer will be revealed in just a little bit. Well, how about this? Mike Matheny is making a pitching change here in the third with his team on top 3-2. Tim Coody's major league debut is over abruptly, with the Phillies putting runners on first and third with one man down. They're within one. We'll be back after this. For on demand in true HD on over 400 mobile and connected devices. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking widget, and more. Every night on every device. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. Well, I have to admit, this is kind of an oddity. Cardinals up by 1, and they lift their pitcher after 2 1/3. And they'll go into the bullpen for the rest of the game. Carlos Villanueva will come on to face the left-handed hitting Cody Ashe, who does have a hit today. Ashe takes outside. It's 1-0. See the numbers on Villanueva, 1-1 with a 1.59 earned run average. I'm sure Mike Matheny has his reasons for doing this. I just think it's kind of early to take a rookie out of a game when you're up by 1 in the month of April.
Yeah, especially with a division foe coming in the Pirates. You got a young kid. He's obviously stretched out. Very surprised to see that early hook.
Ground ball foul, and it's 1 strike to Ashe. Again, every manager has their reasons for doing things. Maybe there's something else that we don't know about. I mean, he did give up 7 hits in 2 1/3, but he still has a 1-run lead.
I don't know what that other factor could be, except for the fact that maybe he thinks he just didn't have it today.
Yeah.
I mean, is this a must-win game for them in April? They all are, but
that one's hit well out toward right field. Hayward going back. It's over his head, and he reaches up and makes the catch. Tagging from third is Howard. He'll score. It's a long sac fly for Ashe, and it's a 3-3 game. Well, Cody did his job.
I know it's going to sound like sour grapes, but how many of those balls have been hit? It's a great swing here by Cody. Just didn't get enough of it. I think he thought he had enough, but very good job of getting that runner home from third with less than 2 outs. But he said Ryan Howard got robbed his first at bat. Chase, we obviously know what he did this series. That one there by Cody. It does sound like sour grapes, doesn't it, Tom?
Well, you weren't happy about the size of the Mets ballpark either. You thought that was a little too big.
Way too big. I tell my son, kids, all you can do is hit the ball hard. After you hit the ball hard, it's out of your control. But you still would like to see some results.
You would, yep. Well, for Ashley, at least the result was a sac fly. They get that run home.
Yes.
Cameron Rupp struck out his first time up. Swing and a miss. 0-1. Goes, pitch is swung out and missed. Throw to second base by Molina is in time. I thought Hernandez got his foot in there. He looked from the naked eye, he looked safe. Ryan Sandberg's going to come out and talk to the second base umpire, Corey Blazer. They have asked the Cardinals to hold the defense, and that's the proper protocol. It'll give Larry Bowa a chance to go on the phone. They'll review it to see if he's safe or out. I think he's safe. Nope, they're going to say that he was out. They're going to decide not to review it. Oh, yeah, he's safe. Looked like he was safe by a good margin. Well, the Phillies do tie it up. They get a couple runs here in the third. A home run by Darren Ruff, a sac fly by Cody Ashe. We'll head to the bottom of the third. By Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup. Shop Nissan.com. Tim Cooney still in the dugout, soaking in his first day as a major league pitcher. He was lifted after 2 1/3, charged with 3 runs. All right, so here's the play at second base, and it looked like Hernandez's foot did pop off the bag when the tag was applied. So maybe that's what the second base umpire saw.
I think his left foot was still in the air and was over the bag before his drag foot got to the bag.
Yeah, because he definitely beat the throw. John Jay leads it off, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes to John Jay.
When David's changeup is good, it gets there and it just disappears. It almost drops. That was one of them.
Down the right field line, hooking, foul. Just a bit low, 2-2. Not a bad spot by Buchanan. Change up over toward Howard, and he'll take it to the bag and one away here in the third. That'll bring Matt Carpenter to the plate, who already has doubled today and scored a run. He has an RBI. Time to take a look at our T-Mobile game changer. And Matt Carpenter is the subject. His slugging percentage is behind Adrian Gonzalez, and that's it. He's moved ahead of Joey Votto with his double today. How about Adrian Gonzalez this year?
He's on fire.
Rookie Jock Peterson for the Dodgers up on that list too.
In 1 week he hit 5 homers, didn't he? 3 in 1 game.
I think that was the number. He was the National League Player of the Week for the week. 2-0 to Carpenter.
He was a guy, I remember when he came up with, he signed originally with Florida, and he went to Texas, and we just pumped fastball after fastball at him. His bat seemed to be so slow, and obviously made the adjustments.
Inside, ball 4, so Carpenter draws a walk. There's Carpenter's double from his first at bat.
Now I don't know why David Buchanan's slide step is so fast. I know John Jay is fast, but I think that slide step is what led him to elevate that baseball. Because sometimes you don't have to be that fast at home plate. John Jay's not a burner. He's not D. Gordon out there. You get into that rhythm, you don't give your arm a chance to catch up, and you elevate the baseball.
Matt Holliday takes high, so 4 in a row out of the strike zone for Buchanan. 1 ball, no strikes. RBI double last time up for Matt Holliday.
And there it was again. I mean, he's so fast with his stride foot. I mean, it's up and then it's down. You just don't give your arm a chance to catch up, and you leave balls arm side and high all the time.
Fastball on the inside corner, 2-2. Holliday will be followed by Matt Adams. Top 4 hitters in this lineup had 4 straight hits to begin the bottom of the first for the Cards.
Sure, Carpenter will be off and running here.
And the Phillies throw over, but he's back ahead of the tag. Goes, pitches lifted into the air, right center field. Herrera sprints in and makes the catch. Carpenter goes back to first. 2 outs here in the third. Matt Adams has raised his average to 292. When this series began, he was at 245. It dropped to 232 after the 3 strikeout game in game number 1. But now it's back up. It's up to 292. Over the last week, he's hitting close to 400, which is tops on the Cardinals. It's better than Carpenter. It's better than Holiday. In fact, he and Peralta are leading the way.
Neither team took batting practice today, but we did see some guys come out and take some infield practice. One of those was Cesar Hernandez, who you could see in shallow right field. And he was actually taking balls from Larry Boa in shallow right field and throwing them to first base. Kind of like what we saw Colton Wong doing last night in the shift.
You can see more and more of that. You probably didn't even see that when you played, which wasn't too long ago, where guys would take ground balls out in shallow right to make that throw. Yeah, and it's just something you're not accustomed to making a throw, especially from second base, of that length. It's a far way to go. 1-1 is blasted deep to right field. Francoeur going back. Forget about it. That's a long run. 2-run home run for Matt Adams, 3rd of the year. When the Cardinals are back on top, it's a 5-3 ball game.
Big man with a short swing. He knew he got it right away. And you're right, Tom. That was a lengthy one.
Yeah, that's a shot. 375 in right center field where the bullpen is. And that one was into the second or third row behind the bullpen. So more than 400 feet. Here's Hayward. Outside, 1-0.
He's a guy that really relies on timing, because there's not a whole lot of movement with his hands. Like, he doesn't go back with his hands a whole lot. That timing's right.
Nice play by Howard on the backhand. He spins, gets to his feet. And the side is retired. Well, the Cardinals have done some damage in this series with some extra base hits, but that was their first home run of the series. They take a 5-3 lead as we go to the 4th. K-Cup pods to keep you running. Order by 11:30 a.m. and get free same-day delivery. Who but W.B. Mason? We go to the top of the 4th inning. Carlos Villanueva on in relief of Tim Cooney, who went 2 1/3 in his major league debut. Allowed 3 earned runs and 7 hits. So now Villanueva, who got Cody Ashley on a fly ball to right, it turned out to be a sacrifice fly, and then watch Cesar Hernandez get thrown out by Yadier Molina with Cameron Rupp up in the 3rd. We'll begin the 4th. Rupp is 0 for 1, and he takes a strike. It's 0-1. the end of the bat. Matt Adams, the first baseman, will give way to Wong in foul territory. Very comfortable play. 1 out. Citizens Bank Weather Education Day presented by NBC 10. First Alert Weather will be Thursday, May 14th. It's the culmination of a 4-game series against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Tickets can be purchased by going to Phillies.com. And a reminder that after the ball game, it is a senior stroll the bases. David Buchanan is 0 for 1. He struck out his first time up. Take strike 1 here. It's 0-1. Swing and a miss. First strikeout for Villanueva. And with 2 men down, top of the order, Odubel Herrera will be the batter. Villanueva now 31 years old. He's pitched for the Brewers, the Cubs, and the Cardinals in the National League Central. He's also spent a couple years in the American League with the Toronto Blue Jays. He's been a swingman his entire career. He's been a long guy out of the pen, but he's also been a spot starter. Last year for the Cubs, he started 5 games. As Herrera shows bunt, takes high. 76 starts during his major league career. With a lifetime ERA of 4.24.
He is close to getting out of that box.
A lot of times it's part of the reason why he bunts everything foul toward the third base side. Because he's running toward first. And the bat's sort of just pushing the ball foul.
It's hard to bunt when you're running that.
Yeah. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Herrera. A little hesitation on that changeup, and it's in there for a strike. It's now 2-2. Ground ball to Colton Wong. He's up with it. And it's a 1-2-3 inning for Carlos Villanueva. Phillies go down in order. We've played 3.5 here in St. Louis. The Cardinals holding on to a 2-run lead over the Phils. Jefferson.com. And by Jefferson, where help is all we do. Call 1-800-JEFF-NOW or visit jefferson.edu. Phillies trail at 5-3. We move to the bottom of the fourth inning here in St. Louis. Phillies will head to Miami after this. All right, so what happened here, Ben?
He got quick pitched. He has that big old leg kick. But Villanueva sees that. He goes back with his foot, and boom, he doesn't do a leg kick. He just throws it right away. Oh, I can't leg kick.
Wow.
And he had to swing.
Yeah, there was nothing illegal about it. It was just a change in the way he came to the plate.
Very smart on Villanueva's part.
Here, Molina fouls one at home plate. 1 ball and 1 strike as we begin the bottom of the fourth.
If it's a strike, you have to swing. And don't think scouts and other pitchers aren't taking note of that.
It's not often, though, that you see a pitcher with a style like that in that particular spot. Guys will sometimes do it from the stretch, not often from the windup like that. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Molina as he fouls it back to the screen. Tim Cooney still a spectator for the Cardinals in the dugout.
You wonder what's going through his mind. You know, it's not easy because I'm sure he wasn't thinking he was going to get lifted from that game. You know, you wait for Severino Gonzalez the other night through the same thing. Your whole life you try and get to the big leagues, and that's how your first outing goes. It's not the way you want to do it, and it's going to be tough to sleep. But hopefully you'll be back.
Well, Severino, I don't think it's eased totally, but he's worked a bullpen session in since that outing. Worked a bullpen session, I think it was today.
Yes.
Whereas Cooney, if he is the guy that's going to fill the void left by Adam Wainwright, he'll get that opportunity to work with Derek Lilliquist later on this week. Here he is. Here's Gonzalez talking to Bob McClure during his bullpen session. It does look like he will get one more start, at least. Although we'll find out more this weekend when we get to Miami. No balls and 1 strike to Wong. Grounded out to shortstop his last time up. And he pulls that foul into the camera well off the first base side.
You know, home runs happen. Last inning, the walk to Carpenter, and then it's a 2-run home run by Matt Adams. Next inning, you lead off walk to Yadier Molina. You know the way I feel about walks, Tom. And
well, that has been a problem for the Phillies pitchers this year. They have issued 90 walks, which is most in the National League. The Braves are second with 83. That one's pulled through the hole on the right side. A base hit. Molina goes to second. And then Wong is aboard with his 6th hit in this series.
You know who's fewest in the league?
The Mets and the Cardinals.
You see where they both stand.
And it's been a bone of contention. It's been something that the organization has talked about since the beginning of spring training. Ryan Sandberg talks about it all the time. Bob McClure talks about it all the time. You want to try to limit your base runners, obviously, and giving them the free passes. As we said, 90 walks overall. That certainly causes more problems for a pitcher. Jake Diekman warming up in the bullpen.
Especially against a good hitting ball club. Why would you want to put more guys on base knowing that the opposing team has some firepower in the lineup?
Does that firepower cause you to nibble?
Yes, it could. But me personally, I don't know. I think it's all the type of pitcher you are. You know, if you get hit, you get hit. We were talking to Justin DeFreitas about it yesterday. He said, I'm going to try and refuse to walk guys. I mean, there's going to be times where you have to pitch around somebody.
Sure. but takes high 1-0. He went down and talked to Jose Oquendo while that meeting was going on the mound. Villanueva, though, is still in the on-deck circle, so they're not going to make a pitching change or have somebody pinch hit for the pitcher.
No, they don't have anyone up in the pen either, so.
Off the end of the bat, Ryan Howard into foul territory, and beyond his reach. 1 ball and 1 strike. I think the thing to point out too is that no pitcher is trying to walk a hitter.
Well, I would just, be more aggressive in the strike zone. Challenge guys more. Just because you get into a certain count doesn't mean you have to throw a particular pitch.
Runners go. Pitch is swung on and missed. Rupp's throw goes to third, and Yadier Molina is retired. So they defuse the hit and run. Yeah, there's one away.
I don't understand that at all.
It was that, wasn't it? A hit and run?
It was absolutely a hit and run. But with Yadier on second, I mean, there's all kinds of slow. But I'm telling you,
there's all kinds of slow, but then there's Yadier Molina slow.
There's Yadier, there's Molina. All 3 of them were not the fleetest of foot.
Just a bit inside, 2-2.
Now Cosmo had a single his first at bat. He's just trying to get. I don't know.
Swing and a miss.
I'm sure if you asked Mike Matheny, he would have an answer for you.
Well, every manager has their reasons. Some of it's feel. Some of it's just trying to jumpstart someone. Here's Villanueva. A 102 career hitter, 4 RBIs. Chopper out toward Galvis, and he'll have time to throw over to first. Side is retired. No runs, 1 hit, 1 man left. We've played 4. We'll go to the 5th inning here in St. Louis. Phillies down 2. Mike Schmidt hit 11 career home runs off. He had a brother also that pitched in the big leagues. In fact, he and his brother are the only brother combinations to have thrown a no-hitter. It was before your time.
That'd be a Negro.
Okay, you're close. It's incorrect, but you are close. It is one of the Forsches. It's Bob Forsch.
Bob Forsch.
Log back on to Phillies.com to find out if you're the winner of a Phillies prize pack.
Bob Forsch.
That's where it gets challenging, Ben. We're not just going to do the time from when you were born until now. We're going to dig deep. Freddie Galvis takes low. 1 ball and 1 strike to Galvis as we start the 5th inning.
I think our friends in the production cavity like to hear that.
They do. Out toward left field, right at Matt Holliday. And 1 out here in the 5th. That'll bring Darren Ruff to the plate. Let's check in with Murph. Murph, where the heck are you?
Well, I'll tell you that in just a second, Tom. But first, let me get you updated on Chad Billingsley, who had another start down in the Lehigh Valley as he continues his rehab. And it was a good one. 5 2/3, 5 hits, just 2 unearned runs in that game. 1 walk and 6 strikeouts. And he is the subject of our Geico quote of the game. It would be awesome, talking about coming back and pitching at the major league level. It would be awesome. It's been a long road with a lot of hard work and grinding. Just to be pitching at a big league field again and being back out there would be awesome. That is the Geico quote of the day from Chad Billingsley. We don't know if that will be his final rehab start, but it is possible. He's had 4 of them down there at the Lehigh Valley as he tries to work his way back. So certainly a good sign to see Billingsley getting some good work in today, guys.
Yeah, he mentioned after the game that today his command was better than any game he's thrown since 2012. Now, he's had 2 different elbow surgeries, the Tommy John surgery and the flexor pronator surgery. So he's been on the shelf for a little while, but the best command he's had since 2012. Darren Ruff takes a strike. It's 2-2.
Well, it definitely would be a big boost to get him back in the rotation. The guy can pitch as long as he's healthy. It's never been a question of stuff. He's always had that.
Said his goal was to at least have a rehab game where he was reaching 100 pitches. As Ruff fouls it back. Murph, what is going on around you?
Well, I've made my way out to the ballpark village.
There you are.
Yeah, across the street to Clark Street right here, which is in front of us, outside of the ballpark, and I'm on the rooftop here, the AT&T rooftop. And what a vantage point to watch a game between the Phillies and the Cardinals. You know, I've been up on the rooftops at Wrigley, and I've been on the top of the factory in San Diego, and you know they all have a similar feel. But this is really amazing what they've been able to do here. This facility has 4 or 5 restaurants inside. A couple of bars, obviously. They also have the Cardinals Hall of Fame and Museum inside of here. And to sit up here on the rooftop, it's a separate ticket that you buy through the Cardinals. It's all part of the Cardinals seating system, and it's all inclusive up here so that you can eat and drink to your heart's content up here on the rooftop. And it really is a great place to watch the game.
And you can see everything from out there?
You can see everything. I can see both. The only thing I cannot see is the left field corner, the very, very corner of left field. But I bet you if I moved down there, I'd be able to see that even. So, yeah, it's a great vantage point. They've really done a nice job adding to Busch Stadium by putting this in here because obviously this came just about a year ago. So it looks like it's been part of the ballpark, you know, since its inception, but it is brand new for these guys.
Yeah, it is something that they've talked about ever since this ballpark opened. That one is hit out toward left field, so you can see that right there, Murph.
I can.
Matt Holliday makes the catch. 1, 2, 3 go the Phils. We played 4.5. Well, Villanueva has retired the 6 batters that he has faced. Murph, make sure you got some sunblock on sitting up there. recognizes nonprofit organizations that are making a difference in our communities. Congratulations to our latest champion, Philadelphia Academies. To learn more, visit citizensbank.com/community. Good banking is simple, clear, and personal, and that's helping you bank better. Citizens Bank. We start at the bottom of the 5th inning. Top of the order is up against David Buchanan. John Jay is 1 for 2 with a run scored. And he takes low. It's 2-1. You want to learn more about Philadelphia Academies, you can go to academiesinc.org. Located on Walnut Street. 3-1 on the putout, and there's one away here in the 5th. And that'll bring Matt Carpenter to the plate. Well, David Buchanan has been good at times today, and he's been out over the plate at times today. As he steps away from this outing whenever it's complete, whether it be the 6th inning or maybe the 7th inning, he'll have something to build on, but I would think still frustrating with some of his offerings to this aggressive Cardinals lineup.
And that's something that he has struggled with in his career, is just avoiding that big inning. There always seems to be that one inning that always comes back to bite him.
Check swing. Did he go? Yes, he did. 1-2 to Carpenter.
You know, last year was Kyle Kendrick with his first inning woes. You know, certain pitchers, they always have something that seems to hurt them or hinder them.
Last time he threw his curveball quite often, and it was effective for him against the Braves. He hasn't thrown that curveball as often today.
A lot of cutters, a lot of change-ups.
And there's ball 4. Carpenter walks for the 2nd time. Phillies' fantastic auction is currently going on at Phillies.com. Some of the auction items include a private hitting clinic with Chase Utley. You can also take Cody Ashe to your school. You have lunch with Hall of Famer Phillies manager Ryan Sandberg in his office. The fantastic auction partners include WIP and WPHT and benefits Phillies charities. Auction ends May 13th and 14th. Check it out now by going to Phillies.com. Boy, another visit to the mound by Bob McClure. There are games where a pitching coach really has to coach a particular player through a game. And that seems to be the case here this afternoon.
Absolutely. And I think this is also a stalling tactic just to get Diekman ready to face Adams on deck.
Jake was up in the last inning, and now he's up here again. Bob McClure's having a conversation right now with Laz Diaz. Were a couple of those pitches close, or are they just having a conversation, Ben?
He may have asked where a pitch or two was, but I thought they were balls.
The only one I can think of is the changeup that ran the count 3-2 to Matt Carpenter.
Yeah. It was close, but I still think it was a ball.
Holiday's up. He's 1 for 2. He doubled his first time up, drove in a run, scored a run. He fly to center. Curveball outside, 1-0. That one's pulled past Cody Ashe down the left field line, going toward the corner. Carpenter's on his way to third. Darren Ruff tries to barehand it. They're going to send Carpenter home, and he's going to wind up scoring. 6-3. Cardinals on top. Another double for Matt Holliday, another RBI, and 3 runs scored for Matt Carpenter. And that's probably going to be it for David Buchanan. Let's see what Ryan Sandberg decides to do.
I would assume there would be a double switch in there somewhere. The pitcher spot coming up in 5 spots when the Phillies come back to hit.
Well, looks like they're just going to make a straight change. So pitching change here in the 5th inning. Jake Diekman will take over for David Buchanan. 6 runs on 8 base hits for the Cardinals here this afternoon. So the Phils are going to their bullpen early again today. We'll be back right after this. So he will finish the day winless still here in 2015. His last victory came back on August 6th of last year against Houston. So 13 games, now 14. So Diekman is on to face Matt Adams. Jason Hayward's the on deck batter with a runner at second base. First pitch to Adams outside, 1 ball, no strikes. This is for the second time early for Jake Diekman to come into a game. And Ryan Sandberg said the other day, he said, listen, if there are lefties up, if I feel like it's a close game, I'm going to bring him in an early part of the ballgame. He's my only lefty. So that's why he's in here, to try to keep it in the 3-run deficit.
Jake pitched 2 innings the other night. First inning, not so good. Second inning, he was phenomenal.
And he likes the fact that, he likes when he gets a chance to work more often.
Keeps throwing sliders like that. See him back in that 7th, 8th inning role.
1-2 pitch. And Adams chops it foul and remains 1-2. That one's looped out to left field. It's going to drop for a hit. Holiday read it well. He's around third. He'll score. The throw cut off by Ashe. 7-3. Cardinals on top.
Another run that'll be charged to David Buchanan.
Man, Matt Adams is having himself a heck of a series, isn't he?
It's unbelievable. I mean, he looked completely lost against Cole Hamels the first night. 3 strikeouts. Lost. But he is just locked in right now. That's what I talked about earlier when he hit that home run. Not a lot of hand movement.
I am kind of wondering after he threw him that nasty slider why he came back with 2 fastballs after that. Missed it by a mile, Tom.
Yeah, he did.
And he struck him out on it the other night on the slider.
Well, against the lefties, when it's going good, it's hard to hit. And he got Hayward with it right there. 2 outs.
I know the pitcher and catcher have to be on the same page, but between the two of them, one would have to say, hey, you just made him miss by a mile. We have to throw that again.
And as a catcher, that frustrates you when a guy gets a hit when you make him look so bad on some other pitches, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I don't even care if he's looking for it. If he threw it like he did the pitch before that, you're going to get him out.
0-1 pitch to Molina. Way outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. That one's golfed foul.
Ryan Lawrence tweeted out, the Mats killed David Buchanan. Carpenter, Holiday, and Adams were combined 5 for 6 with a home run, 3 doubles, 2 walks, 5 RBIs, and 5 runs.
Yeah, I think you could say the Mats have killed the Phils the whole series. Swing and a miss. And Molina is struck out. Back-to-back strikeouts for Diekman. However, 2-run score for the Cardinals. They add to their lead. We've played 5. Phillies down 7-3. Entire first month. 3-hit games have come often from his bat, no matter where he bats in the lineup. Oh, and his glove? It's been working pretty well in the field, stealing hits on a daily basis. Freddie's first month has been impressive. And it's brought to you by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. Well, that month has continued for Freddie Galvis. 27 hits now with his single back in the first inning. He's 1 for 3 here this afternoon. But the Phils are struggling again against the Cards. They trail it 7-3 as we go to the top of the 6th inning. Carlos Villanueva, well, he's done a heck of a job in relief of Tim Cooney. He has 2 1/3 scoreless. I should say 2 2/3 scoreless. Face Jeff Francoeur to start things off. Francoeur 0 for 2. He bunts and is hit in the box. So it's a strike. 0-1. Foul ball. wonder if the Cardinals will give consideration for Villanueva to be the starter next time around in Wainwright's spot.
You made a great point in the break. You know, if you're going to have that short a leash with Cooney, why not just let Villanueva start?
Fly ball right center field. Hayward says he has it. And Francoeur is 0 for 3 this afternoon. Phillies do not have a hit against the veteran right-hander. And Cesar Hernandez is coming up. He has been on base twice today, a walk and a single. Well, we questioned the move by Mike Matheny lifting Cooney early. I still think it was early, particularly the way his offense was going, but it has certainly stabilized things remarkably.
It sure has.
No balls and 1 strike to Hernandez. Adams will take it to the bag, and there are 2 outs. Ten straight outs recorded by Villanueva. And Cody Ashley, who has an RBI today and a sac fly, he's also singled. David Buchanan chatting with Ryan Howard in the dugout. Kind of an interesting combo there.
I wonder what they're chatting about. Unless I get a guy in a certain situation. What are you looking for? What do you think I should throw in a certain situation? There's certain guys I struggle with. If there's a guy that you hit well, why do you think you hit him well? And what could that pitch do to get you out?
Two-0 pitch to Ashley is looped out to right. Hayward comes in, puts it away. Side is retired. Phillies go down in order for the 3rd consecutive inning. All right, Villanueva has done his job out of the bullpen. He's maintained control as the Cardinals lead it 7-3. Philadelphia Phillies. And by Toyota. Where will Toyota take you? Visit buyatoyota.com today to find out. Toyota, let's go places. Just outside Busch Stadium here in downtown St. Louis. Phillies and the Cardinals wrapping up a 4-game set. Only time this year the Phillies will be here in St. Louis. The Pirates, meanwhile, are in town, and they will take on the Cardinals this weekend. Phillies have made a double switch. They've changed their pitcher. Now they've also changed their second baseman. Andres Blanco will take over and bat 9th for the Phils for Cesar Hernandez, and Justin DeFreitas will come in. 9 games, a 4.22 earned run average. And he'll face Colton Wong, Pete Kozma, and then the pitcher's spot. There is bullpen action for the Cardinals. Well, let's see if DeFreitas carries into the game what he talked about the other day about being more aggressive. And just not allowing himself to walk a batter. That one just missed. 1 ball, 1 strike. Matt Belisle is in the pen for the Cards.
Talk about the success that he had, especially when he got recalled last year. I think a lot had to do with his fastball command.
Fly ball to shallow center, and Herrera comes running in to make the catch. Yeah, he got sent down. I think that was somewhat of a surprise to him, even though the numbers weren't great. And when he came back, he was a totally different player. He was aggressive. He threw strikes. The velocity was way better with his fastball, and that lent to the command of the fastball command.
Especially down and away to righties. He was able to dot that fastball down and away, which really set up that slider. Slider come in on the same plane as that fastball. Hitters see it, end up swinging through a lot of them.
Kozma takes on the inside corner. It's 0-1. Over to third. Ashley stays down on it. Time now for our Hyundai defensive play of the game, brought to you by your local Hyundai dealers. All right, this was a positive for the Phils, but a positive for the Cardinals too.
Yeah, it was a great play there by Hayward. I actually thought Cody actually got enough of it, but it ends up only getting the 1 run out of it. But it was a very good play, and that is your Hyundai defensive play of the game.
Then Mark Reynolds will be the pinch hitter for the Cardinals, so Villanueva's day is done. 3 2/3 scoreless. No hits, no walks, and 2 strikeouts. The only blemish he had is that he allowed an inherited runner to score, and that was on that sacrifice fly by Ashley. And that's low, ball 4, so he walks Mark Reynolds. Back to the top of the order for John Jay. John Jay has a base hit today. He's also grounded out to Howard twice. And Rupp goes out to talk to DeFreitas.
You get into the why factor, why the walks. 3-1 changeup to Mark Reynolds. I know he can hit a ball a long way, but he also strikes out a lot. which means he swings through a lot. Now, if you don't think you can throw a good pitch, a good fastball there, you got to change that mindset.
Runner goes. Check swing. Did he go? Yes, he did. And it's 1-2. He had no chance, did Cameron Rupp, to throw out Reynolds.
No.
He stole that on DeFreitas.
I mean, he was off and running, plus the pitch is in the dirt. You're not going to do anything on it there. Hopefully that 2-out walk doesn't come back to bite him.
Yeah, the 3 walks that Buchanan allowed today, 2 of those walks scored.
Yes.
Both Matt Carpenter's. Off the front of the Phillies dugout, and it remains 1-2. Trying fastballs here against John Jay, and he's fouled off the last couple. Phillies bullpen comes into today's game with a 2.93 ERA. It's not too bad. Last year they had the best earned run average in the second half of the season, partly because of DeFreitas, Diekman, Ken Giles, and Papelbon. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Slider that slides outside, and it's 2-2.
Well, the numbers when Giles and Papelbon pitch,
oh, they're staggeringly good.
Staggering.
Yeah. Chris Ware from the Phillies PR staff has been tracking that. He was the first one that kind of enlightened us of that combination and those numbers. Oof. In the dirt, good play by Rupp. It stops Reynolds in his tracks, but it's 3-2.
Good at bat by John Jay here. Fouled off a lot of pitches. Worked into a 3-2 count. We're having Matt Carpenter hit behind you helps.
Inside ball 4. So now he's walked 2. All right, so the first 2 batters, what DeFreitas said really rang true. He was aggressive to both of those guys. Now the last 2, he has not been able to find the plate on a consistent basis.
Just see how everything snowballs on you. I mean, now you're into the heart of the order. I know there's 2 outs, but you really need to make some pitches.
Another trip to the mound by Cameron Rupp. He just doesn't have the feel for a slider today, Ben. I mean, that's the thing. It's more than anything, he's without that pitch. And Bob McClure will go to the hill.
Just doesn't seem like he's throwing anything with any conviction. You know, if I'm going to throw a pitch, I'm going to be 100% sure that's the pitch I want, and that's the spot I'm going to throw it. And it has to be on every pitch. It just can't be, oh, I'm going to throw a fastball here. No, I'm going to get this fastball, and I'm going to throw it there, and I'm going to give it 100% effort. I don't see that conviction out of him right now.
Right. Without that conviction, you're almost guiding it, and when you're guiding it, you're going to have more balls than strikes, which you look at his pitch count, it's 21 pitches. These last two hitters.
And I always told my pitchers, listen, if you don't have 100% conviction in a certain pitch, I don't want you throwing it because it's not going to be a good pitch.
Well, Carpenter's probably going to be waiting for a fastball here. I don't know if he's going to be taken with these two guys walking ahead of him. 1 ball, no strikes. That throws him a changeup. He went, and it's 1-1.
How about this for a stat, Tom? The Phillies pitchers have walked 93 batters in 23 games this year. That's 53 more walks than the Mets pitchers have allowed.
Wow. Well, it's 10 more than the Braves, who are second most to them. But that's a wow right there. Two 2-1 pitch to Carpenter. Hit in the air down the left field line. Darren Ruff over toward the stands. It'll slice out of play. And we'll go again with the count now even. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Now you've really backed yourself into a corner. The runners will be off. 3 balls and 2 strikes. It's got to be frustrating for Rhino to sit there and watch this. Runners go. The pitch is hit foul.
Well, it's frustrating for everybody. It's frustrating for the defense that's behind him. It's frustrating for the offense that has a few more whacks at this. They want to get it in there and swing it.
Yeah, down by 4. It's still not out of reach at all at a 7-3 ball game. So everybody will get set again. Runners go. Pitch is hit out toward left field. Slicing. Ruff is under it. And he'll squeeze it. The out is recorded, but a couple more base runners for the Cardinals. They leave 2. 6 in the books. Phil's looking for a little offense when we return. Time now for your Delaware Valley Honda dealers game summary. Well, the Phils trail at 7-3 as we move to the top of the 7th inning. Darren Ruff has a couple hits today, including a home run. David Buchanan did not make it past the 5th inning. 8 hits, 7 earned runs. Matt Carpenter, Matt Holliday, Matt Adams, well, they're 6 for 8 with 6 runs and 6 RBIs today. Also saw the Major League debut of Tim Cooney, who started this ball game for Malvern Prep, and he didn't last through the 3rd. So now as we go to the 7th, Matt Belisle is the new pitcher for the Cardinals. He'll take over for Carlos Villanueva. Facing Cameron Rupp, who is 0 for 2. Belisle's numbers. One ball and 2 strikes to Rupp. It'll be Rupp, Andres Blanco, and then the top of the order for the Phillies. And a called strike 3. 2 strikeouts today for Cameron. Phillies have not had a hit since the 3rd. You know, Phillies games are fun for a group, but do you know how charitable they can be? Groups of 25 or more are eligible for fundraising opportunities that benefit their designated cause. It's a great way to raise funds for your organization. Learn more at Phillies.com/group tickets. Andres Blanco takes a strike, 0-1. He doubled earlier in this series. Oh, 2. Calling balls and strikes along with Laz Diaz, Ben. You know, he's got a little hesitation, so you have to wait a moment.
This is true.
Was he umping when you played?
Absolutely. He's been around.
Was he chatty?
He was. Great guy, though. Great guy.
Blanco pokes it out toward right center, and Hayward ventures back. I think he misread it for a moment. There are 2 outs.
I'd always have Laz try and help me with my Spanish. So it was one of those things, you know, teach me a phrase or a word. Or
so by the end of the game, would you use that phrase or word in
I
a
would
sentence?
try. I would try.
Odubel Herrera, who's 1 for 3. Grounded out to short to second. He also singled home a run back in the 2nd inning.
Why some guys just have that routine in between pitches where they just want it always to get back in there. Put me out of my misery faster than as soon as you can.
Well, I was going to say he probably won't have that routine much longer. I mean, because we're on the doorstep of May. So he's going to have to, somebody's going to have a conversation with him from the league about how long it takes. Now, he hasn't left the box at all.
No, he hasn't. So technically, I guess you could throw him a pitch.
I guess. 2 balls and 2 strikes. He calls time a lot.
No.
2-2 to Herrera. Chopper to short. Cosma takes a big hop. Phillies are retired in order. here in the 7th inning. Time to stretch at Busch Stadium. Phil's offense has gone quiet since the 3rd, down by 4. In the production cavalry, we want to wish you a happy birthday today.
Happy birthday, Michael B.
Matt Holliday hits the first pitch foul into the Phillies dugout as we start the bottom of the 7th. Holliday has 2 doubles today, 2 RBIs. He has scored 2 runs. 7 runs have scored today for the first 4 batters in this order for the Cardinals. Always talk about Matt Holliday and that, that leg kick that he has, that emphatic leg kick that a lot of times his timing, he'll go into long stretches where his timing is off and he's goes into long slumps. Right now, the Phillies are seeing him in one of the hottest stretches that he's had. 0-2 pitch to him, and he fouls that one and stays alive. Someone brought up 2007 on Twitter, and they're right. It's when he was battling for the MVP crown when he was with the Rockies. Totally different player.
He does have that leg kick, but it's a fast leg kick. It's not one of those slow, exaggerated leg kicks like an Adrian Gonzalez. I mean, it's up and it's down, but it's big.
Throws him a change up, but it's low. Holliday is signed through next year with the Cardinals, part of a 7-year contract. There's a team option for 2017.
There's that leg kick. I mean, he gets it up there, but it is quick.
And whatever happens the next few years, he's had himself a nice career. He's 272 home runs, over 1,000 RBIs. And he's zeroing in on 2,000 hits. He has 1,860 hits to his major league career.
He keeps his pace up, we'll have it by next week.
That's somebody else's problem to deal with. The Pirates and the Cubs, those are the next 2 teams to come in. Boy, he's spoiling all these pitches from DeFreitas. This will be the 9th pitch of this at bat for Matt Holliday. Punches it to the right side. Andres Blanco comes up with it. Yeah, there's the first out here in the bottom of the 7th. Matt Adams is coming up. Let's check in with Murph with the Major League Notebook. Murph.
All right, thank you very much, Tom. Well, some news here in St. Louis as Adam Wainwright underwent successful Achilles surgery this morning. The front office telling reporters today that it was a very common surgery for Achilles, nothing out of the ordinary, so that is certainly good news when you're having surgery. He is expected, of course, to miss the remainder of this season and about 9 to 12 months before he will be fully recovered for Adam Wainwright. And also some good news for the Miami Marlins and their pitching staff. Jose Fernandez threw 15 pitches to live batters today. That's the first time that he's been able to do that since coming back from his elbow injury, which happened last May, early May, and he's been out since then. So 15 batters today, or 15 pitches he threw today to live batters, so that is good news. Still a little bit ways away before he gets back to a Miami Marlin ballpark, but he's moving in the right direction for the Fish for sure, guys.
I read a story the other day where Chad Billingsley, where his doctor told him that if he can get through 3 or 4 starts without any pain, then he's kind of in the clear with the Tommy John surgery. Is that right, Ben? Does that sound right?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, you know, some days you'll have some good days and bad days. You know, just because it might be painful, it might be just scar tissue getting broken up in there. But as long as it's not sharp, it should be fine.
Ryan Howard will take care of Matt Adams. They finally retire him this afternoon. There are 2 outs. It'll be interesting to see how Jose Fernandez comes back, because everybody is different. But we look at Matt Harvey coming back from Tommy John surgery, and so far there's no problems with him.
Both healthy. Who's better?
Oof. I think Matt Harvey's better. I know you're going to disagree with me.
I'm not. I don't.
By the look on
I don't
your
have
face.
an answer. I'm just thinking Jose Fernandez. You're talking about filthy, nasty stuff.
And he's a little younger.
He's a little younger.
1 ball, no strikes. Hayward takes low, 2-0. Well, part of the reason why I think Harvey is better is because if he doesn't have that, and I'm not saying Fernandez can do this, but if he doesn't have that fastball, he's able to pitch, I think. That ball is hit sharply out to shortstop, and then he retires Hayward. It's a 1-2-3 inning. I don't know if that makes any sense. I feel like he's more of a pitcher, a seasoned guy. Now Fernandez could be that way as he gets a little older. Further, buy WB Mason. You can't go wrong when you buy right. and by your Delaware Valley Honda dealers. Hurry to your local Del Val Honda dealer or visit DelValHondaDealers.com today. All right, Ben, get a last look at the arch. You're not going to see it much longer. Although you
is
saw
it going somewhere?
Oh, you are. You're going to Miami. Although you did see it up close and personal.
It is big.
Freddie Galvis will start it off, and he takes a strike at the knees. 0-1 as we start the top of the 8th inning. Phillies have 2 more at bats. They're down by 4. Villanueva through 3 2/3 scoreless. And now Belisle has an inning scoreless. Phillies have not picked up a hit since the 3rd. 13 consecutive batters have been retired.
You like those socks, Tom, on Belisle?
I like the stripes. I'd rather see the stirrups.
Yes.
I do like the stripes, though.
See, John Jay has the stirrups on. Belisle just has the sock.
What did you call them? A soccer sock?
Yeah, it's a soccer sock. There's no stirrup.
No, I do like the stripes, though.
Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, Phillies Statue of Liberty.
I mean, the Liberty Bell. It's been a while.
John Jay fighting the sun makes the catch. I was going to say the Statue of Liberty got really small. Pulling a doubleheader at the office. Look no further than W.B. Mason's wide selection of Green Mountain Coffee K-Cup pods to keep you running. Order by 11:30 and get free same-day delivery. Who but W.B. Mason? Darren Ruff is 2 for 3. Takes outside. It's 1-0. Two and two to Ruff.
It's down there. 2-0 slider for a strike. And that pitch was only at 90. 2-1 fastball. Darren was very tardy. I think he may have been looking for another slider there.
Randy Choate, the left-hander of the bullpen. Manus is the right-hander. And ball 4. Ruff works out a walk, so he's aboard for the 3rd time. That's the first base runner for the Phillies. So it's Cesar Hernandez a single in the 3rd. Who are the 4 players who best represent the history of the Phillies, and who are the 4 greatest living Major League Baseball players? Go to MLB.com/franchise4 to cast your ballots. Winners will be revealed during the All-Star Game July 14th on Fox. I think they'd have a hard time picking 4 here in St. Louis. As Molina goes out to talk to Belisle with Ryan Howard up.
Yeah, they have quite a few to choose from.
Mm-hmm. Well, this looks like it was just a stall tactic. Mike Matheny is stomping out to the mound, and he's going to bring in his lefty Randy Choate to face Ryan Howard. So he's not going to allow the Phillies any wiggle room whatsoever here. We're going to have a pitching change here in St. Louis. Phil's down 7-3. Randy Choate coming into the ball game to face Ryan Howard. crew thinks of the Eagles pick. Watch Breakfast on Broad, presented by the Joint Replacement Institute, tomorrow morning from 6 until 8 over on the Comcast Network. Ben, you're on record. You're saying wide receiver tonight.
Yes.
First pick for the Eagles. I'm torn. I'm kind of leaning toward wide receiver also. I'm thinking secondary help, but I'm kind of leaning toward wide receiver also. Here's Ryan Howard. He faced Randy Choate, and he pops it in the air to shallow left center. And Carpenter will make the catch. One pitch, and Howard's retired. 2 outs. And here comes Mike Matheny, and he's going to make a double switch. So Choate, man, what a day's work. Here are his numbers. And you can put those into your memory bank because he's done with. So they'll go to the right-hander and bring Peter Borges in to play left field for Matt Holliday as part of this double switch. So another pitching change. Mike Matheny's not fooling around. He's looking to close the door on this ball game. He'll adjust his lineup card with Laz Diaz, and we'll be back with the new pitcher right after this. First base, Peter Borges will take over in center field for the Cardinals. John Jay moves from center field over to left field for Matt Holliday, and Seth Maness is the new pitcher. 10th ball game for Maness. A 3.68 ERA, and Grady Sizemore will pinch hit for Jeff Francoeur.
You think Randy Choate goes in and ices after that extensive workload?
I don't think he does. I don't even know if he goes in and showers. Sizemore 9 pinch hits during his career. Outside, 1 ball and no strikes. And a line drive, 1 hopper back at shortstop. They had him play perfectly. Side is retired. Sizemore's hit a couple balls hard in this series, but nothing to show for it there. Middle of the 8th inning. St. Louis on top by 4. Things rolling.
A lot of doubles, a lot of extra base hits today, Tom.
It's been the story of the whole series. This was a huge blow right here. Adams' long home run. And those are W. Mason deliveries of the game. Brady Sizemore stays into play right field. Four extra base hits. Is my math right? 4 extra base hits today for the Cardinals. 13 in the series. Yadier Molina greets Luis Garcia with a slow chopper to short. 1 pitch and 1 away. Garcia at ERA just over 1. He's been very good for the Phillies. Does have 1 loss to go along with 1 win. First pitch to Colton Wong is a strike. Colton Wong was born in Hawaii, went to college in Hawaii. Every time the Phillies pitchers retire the opposition 1-2-3, Comcast will make a contribution to Phillies charities. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. Just 1 today. That was in the 7th with DeFreitas. Ryan Howard picks it on 1 hop. He's made a couple of good plays today over at first base. And there are 2 outs.
Very smooth there. Very smooth hands. You don't want to be rigid with your hands. You want to go with it. That's what he does. He gets down on it, backhands it. Nice and easy. I think quite a few 3 unassisted today.
So Garcia has 2 quick outs, 2 outs on 4 pitches. And Pete Kozma, who has a hit in 3 at bats.
Talking with Bob Stumpo last night, he said Garcia throws the heaviest ball on the team.
Bob Stumpo is the Phillies bullpen catcher and batting practice pitcher extraordinaire. Been breaking in a new catcher's mitt for the last week or so. It's got to be almost broken in. He's breaking it in the bullpen.
You get guys like Garcia. It's funny. Like, just how much rotation you put on the ball. You could have 2 exact guys throwing 95. Some guys throw 95 feels like 105. Some guys feel like it's 85. It is just something how some guys, it just feels like a bowling ball when you catch it, and the other time it feels like a ping pong ball.
Why is that?
I'm pretty sure it has a lot to do with rotation and how much rotation you get on a pitch.
2-2 to Kozma. Way upstairs, 3-2. 5 walks today for Phillies pitching.
I really do like his stuff, Garcia.
Inside, ball 4, and Borges will come up for the first time. Well, I guess the sinking fastball is what makes you like it so much, but also that slider.
Yeah, I mean, it's just everything's out of the same slot. It's hard, it's heavy. He does have the good sink. and he also can throw that hard four-seam riding fastball. It's just, you look at pure stuff, and he has that stuff to strike anybody out.
Remarkable, though, how baseball is littered with guys like this, but his path to the big leagues is just a remarkable story. Basically was out of baseball. He's going to move on with another career as a barber. Inside, 1-1.
You just never know. I mean, you wonder how you could just stop playing with a talent like he has.
I would think command was a big thing for him. You know? Just trying to control all those pitches.
Look at the splits between AAA last year and the big leagues. I mean, talk about drastic.
Through the right side, a base hit. Cosmo's thinking about third. Nope, he's going to stop at second. And now first and second with two men down. And John Jay is coming up.
I won't mention the 2-out walk to the 8-hole hitter, Tom.
I thought you would point it out because it's the second time, I should say third time, in the last 3 innings it's happened. It's interesting, you know, you knew that there were a lot of base runners for the relievers and for the team overall, but it wasn't until today, or yesterday I should say, when I was going over the walks and where the Phillies sat. It's incredible that they have 94 walks in the first month of the season for the staff.
It's just, you look at Cosmo, look at the swings he had against Garcia. I mean, no offense to Cosmo, but he could make a pitch just literally knock the bat out of his hands. And then you end up walking him. Then you get a base hit. Now it's first and second, and the top of the order's up.
And a line drive, base hit into left field. Cosmo's around third, heading for home. The throw cut off by Ashe, and it's now 8-3. So there's another walk that scores today. John Jay with his second hit of the afternoon. And it also gives Carpenter another chance to bat. I would just think it's very hard to have any success when you're averaging as a staff over 4 walks per game. I mean, just to put it in perspective, counting today's walks, over 4 walks per game. Carpenter's 1 for 2. Fastball upstairs, 1-0.
If you have a staff that has this many walks, it's almost like you have to say, you sit them down and say, you know what, guys, you need to make the pitch. Your action pitch needs to be 2-2, because obviously if we're getting a 3-2, we end up walking these guys a lot of the time. So if you want to make it happen on that 2-2 pitch.
The other part of it today is that the Cardinals came out of the box, I mean, aggressive. So the fact that they've walked 6 times today also says a lot about how far out of the strike zone some of those pitches were.
You know what's good about their lineup as well is they don't give at bats away. I mean, they've scored a lot of runs in this series. You still see them up there trying to produce. Now at the end of the year, it's their numbers on the bubblegum card. And a hit or two here and there, it makes a huge difference.
Toward the hole again, knocked down by Galvis. Now that'll be another hit for Carpenter, his 6th of the series, and the bases are loaded for pinch hitter Johnny Peralta. Bob McClure out to the mound again. 8-3 Cardinals on top. 3 in the first, 2 in the third, 2 in the fifth, 1 here in the 8th inning. Later on, the Reds will be in Atlanta to take on the Braves. Mike Leake against Shelby Miller, who's going for his 4th win. The Nationals will be at Citi Field to take on the Mets. Jacob deGrom against Steven Strasburg. Strasburg comes into that game with an earned run average just under 5. Swing and a miss to Peralta, and it's 0-1. Threw 3 straight sliders. He laid off the third. It's 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Give Freddie credit for keeping that ball in the infield. We know about Borges and how he can run. He is able to get out of it right here with only the 1 run. It's thanks to Freddie.
Rupp keeps that around the plate, 2-2. Well, he looks like he's discarded the fastball, at least at this point, for this at bat.
It's a great play here by Cameron Rupp. Keep that ball in front, and that was a short one. Ones that are that short, sometimes you will have to get a little taller in your chest so it doesn't bounce over you.
Well, he had such good command with those first 2 batters that he faced. He has nowhere to put them. Bases are loaded. Runners will be off on this 3-2 pitch to Johnny Peralta. Lays off, ball 4. That'll force in a run. 7 walks today for Phillies pitching. And it's 9-3 in favor of the Cardinals. Remarkable how this inning's gone out of control here.
I wonder if you polled the pitchers and said, you know what, guys, you get 2 quick outs. You ever feel like you let down? You let down your guard. Like this is a piece of cake. You know, this is a breeze. And then you just let down your guard and things just start to unravel. I wonder what their response would be.
It's a good question. But he's now all over the place here, Ben. I mean, this is nothing. We have not seen this year from Luis Garcia. One ball, no strikes. Now 2-0.
As soon as I talk about how much I like his stuff, it just.
You're right on though with it. I mean, he had a great start. He only allowed the 1 run. And he started out this inning strong. Out to left field. Darren Ruff has a beat on it and circles it to make the catch. And the inning is over and the Cardinals leave them loaded. 2 more runs score for the Cardinals. So now we go to the 9th inning and it's a 6-run.
And they're finished here. Hop on a plane, and as you guys mentioned, guys, headed down to Miami to take on the Miami Marlins for weekend series. Friday at 7:10, Jerome Williams versus Tom Kohler, the righty. On Saturday, it's a 4:10 start Eastern time. The Dan Herron and Cole Hamels. And then on Sunday at 1:10 p.m., Severino Gonzalez will make his second start for the Phils. He'll take on former Philly farmhand Jared Cosner. Guys.
All right, Murph, we appreciate that. The Phillies have the top of the ninth to deal with here. And the Cardinals will go back to their bullpen, which has been excellent today. Kevin Segrist in his third game in this series, 1-0 with a 2.08 ERA. Cardinals bullpen 5 2/3 scoreless here this afternoon. They have not allowed a hit. In fact, they've allowed only one base runner. It was a walk in the 8th inning. That's it. And over their last 12 innings of work, they've allowed 5 hits and 0 earned runs. So Ben Revere will pinch hit, and he takes strike one. Revere hitting .218 overall. 9 hits as a pinch hitter in his career. It'll be Revere, then Cody Ashe and Cameron Rupp. Those are the scheduled hitters for the Phils here in the top of the 9th inning. Opposite way, 1-2. And a called strike 3 right down the chute. 1 out here in the 9th inning. Cody Ashe will get another at bat in front of friends and family. I mentioned the other day, he grew up about 35 miles from here.
That's just a pitch that, you know, I think he's just looking for something off speed. One of those you walk back to the dugout just shaking your head.
Yeah. Because you get a fastball from a lefty that you could probably drive. I was asking Ashe yesterday about coming back to St. Louis. You know, he grew up in the suburbs of St. Louis, about 35 minutes away. I said, how has it been? I said, is it a neat feeling? And he said it is. He said the thing that it dawned on him this time, he has a lot of friends and family, a lot of close friends from high school who are in the crowd watching him play today. He said that's when it dawned on him. He said he thinks it means more to them than him. He said for him it's a game that he's fortunate enough to get a chance to play. He said but for his friends and family, you know, there's a sense of pride to see him out on the field in their hometown stadium facing the Cardinals.
Absolutely.
Off the end of the bat, foul, remains 1-2.
It's a big thrill for them. You know, just coming back and playing the Phillies at the Vet. I mean, it was cool. The Phillies, I will say, were always very giving of their tickets for family and friends, and we'd have a whole section at the Vet, and they were very gracious with that. But it was, I mean, it's cool.
You think anybody here at Busch Stadium dumped a beer on Cody Ashe?
Probably not.
That was a great story. Breaking ball high, 2-2. Cameron Rupp on deck. 3 balls, 2 strikes to Ashe. And Cody hits it out toward left center field, and Borges will run it down.
Nice at bat there by Cody. I know he doesn't get anything to show for it, but he didn't cash it in. He just didn't give that at bat away. Got down early, battled back out to a full count, put a nice swing on the ball. Didn't get rewarded with a hit because Usain Bolt's out there in center. But it's a good at bat.
Phillies won game 1 of this series, but the Cardinals have won the last 2, and they're 1 out away from winning the series. Phillies have had a lot of success here in St. Louis, not this week. Cameron Rupp swings at the first pitch. It's it down the right field line. Hayward on the run toward the corner, and it's off the wall, and it'll kick onto the grass. Rupp is around second, and he'll get to third. And Cameron Rupp has a triple.
Well, came close to getting out of here.
Sure did. Opposite field power for Cameron Rupp.
You know, I'll tell you why that's great, Tom, is because you look at last inning. This is a good swing here by Cameron. Going with it. Wind's blowing out to right. I thought it was just going to get down for a pair, but, I mean, that's close to getting out of here. But it's great for him because it's been a long game for him. It's his first triple ever. He deserved that hit.
Blanco lifts it high in the air down the left field line. John Jay toward foul territory. Ball game is over. Now the Cardinals have taken 3 of 4 from the Phils this week here in St. Louis. Our Chevy players of the game, the Cardinals bullpen 6 2/3 scoreless. That triple by Cameron Rupp, the only hit that they surrendered in relief of Tim Cooney. Well, it started out as a strong start for the Phillies in this series, but the Cardinals offense just too powerful. Matt Adams, Matt Holliday, Matt Carpenter, Mike Matheny has a pretty good foundation to work with, and he wins at 9-3 here this afternoon. We'll be back to St. Louis after this to wrap things up.